Hello, welcome to Satisfactory. You're new to the game and just unlocked splitters and mergers for the first time and have no idea how to use them. And that's alright, I too had no idea how to use them effectively when I first unlocked them. To start off, I have to mention that this is a splitter. I know, so shocking. However, there is also a smart splitter as well as a programmable splitter. And to make it simpler and easier to understand, we will cover smart splitters and programmable splitters in another video. So, this is a splitter. It has one singular input, meaning researchers are able to enter it from one direction and one direction only. However, as the name implies, it splits up resources via its three outputs. Now, it has two basic options, which is that you can split up the resources three ways using all three outputs, or you can split them up in two ways. This will give you the option to split up resources in either a 50-50 split or a 33-33-33 split. This will be useful to remember for later. There are multiple ways to use splitters, and honestly the possibilities are limitless. However, there are two main systems of splitters that us Satisfactory enjoyers have named, in which every other way of using splitters falls under. There is the Manifold line, and there is the load balancing line. Manifold lines are the easiest to use and most space efficient, but sadly these will be the ones that take the most amount of time to start up. A manifold line is basically a conveyor line that is run through a line of splitters that will deliver the desired resource to the desired location. The setup is pretty easy, as you just place a splitter facing the same direction in a straight line, and then connect everything up using conveyor belts. The reason why this works despite seeming like it shouldn't work is very simple. The input and/or production is equal to the consumption rate. Let me explain. So, let's say I'm producing a hypothetical 300 iron ore per minute, and I have 10 smelters each consuming 30 per minute, meaning I have a consumption of 300 per minute. During the first splitter, the 300 iron ore would be split up into three 100 sets, and that is more than the first two splitters can handle. So what happens in practice is that the smelters then back up and overflow to the point that the splitter no longer is able to split up the resources between three ways, but only in one direction, making the 300 move to the next splitter, and then the process repeats until you eventually get to the last two smelters, which consume the last 60 each. Each smelter still consumes 30 each, so it still consumes 300 total out of the 300 produced. Having 12 smelters wouldn't be efficient, even if all 12 smelters have resources at this point, so always make sure your lines are one-to-one before making a manifold line, especially because of how long it takes for everything to back up and get started. But let's say you don't want that. You actually want each smelter to run efficiently all at the same time, so that it looks all pretty, or you have different input amounts on different machines, or you don't want to wait that long for everything to work. That is where load balancing lines come into play. A load balancing line is simple, but is also complex, as this is a load balancing line, so is this, and so is this. The basics of it are this. You have, let's say, 180 iron ore per minute, and for that 180 iron ore per minute you have 6 smelters. What you would do is place down one splitter at the beginning of the line to then split the iron two ways, into 90 and 90. Then you would place two more splitters so that the 90 would split up into three ways, of 30 each. As the resources go through the splitters, they will evenly distribute throughout the splitters and make their way to the smelters, which will each get the 30 iron ore per minute they need to smelt at 100% efficiency. Hypothetically, you can do this with any number, and with the use of mergers make the ore split up in any which way you want it to. Of course, now that you understand what the difference is between a splitter manifold and a splitter load balancer, it is good to know that a merger is like a splitter, where it has 4 total holes. Except 3 of the holes are now inputs, and 1 is an output, making so you can consolidate your resources a whole lot better.
Now go destroy the ecosystem. Become the machine overlord you know you can be. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well if you want to see more of this type of content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.